architecture, and even its governance.
I can see how Buddhism could have a major cultural impact.
Yeah,
Were there any political changes happening during this time?
there were.
What were they?
The Taika reforms, inspired by Chinese models of governance, aimed to centralize power under the imperial court.
So again, outside influence. It's
Yeah.
interesting how those things keep popping up.
It is fascinating.
So what did those reforms do?
They implemented a pretty radical restructuring of Japanese society.
Like what kind of things did they do?
The nationalization of land, a new tax system,
Wow.
and an administrative structure that was very similar to what was found in Tang Dynasty China.
Oh, wow.
This is a really pivotal moment because it lays the foundation for a more unified Japan.
It's amazing how these outside influences shaped the nation's development.
It really is.
You mentioned China a couple of times now.
Right.
How significant was China's influence on early Japan?
China's influence on early Japan was profound.
Wow.
You can see it in everything from Buddhism to writing systems to those administrative reforms we just talked about.
Right.
The Japanese were incredibly adept at taking what they learned from other cultures and adapting it to fit their own needs.
So it's not just a simple copying of foreign ideas.
Right.
It's a careful selection and adaptation to fit what they need.
Precisely.
That makes a lot of sense.
And this pattern continues as we move into the Nara period in 710 AD.
Okay, so what happens in the Nara period?
This era is marked by the establishment of a capital in Hajikish.
Okay.
That's modern-day Nara,
Okay.
and it's a time of artistic and cultural flourishing.
Uh-huh.
It's also when those iconic chronicles of Japanese history and mythology,
Yeah.
the Kochiki and the Nihon Shoki,
I've heard of those.
yeah, those were compiled.
So those go all the way back to the Nara period.
That's right.
It sounds like Japan is really coming into its own during this period.
It is.
What happens next?
Well, after Nara comes the Heian period,
Okay.
from 794 to 1185 AD.
Okay.
The capital shifts to Heian-kyu,
Okay.
which is present-day Kyoto.
Okay.
And we see this just incredible blossoming of a distinctly indigenous Japanese culture.
Oh, wow.
This is the era of the Tale of Genji, often considered the world's first novel, a masterpiece of Japanese literature.
Yeah.
It's also the era when the lyrics for Japan's national anthem, Kimigayo, were penned.
Wow.
But it's not just about art and literature.
Right.
This is also where we see the emergence of a new class of warriors
Oh.
who will come to define a whole era in Japanese history.
Mm.
The samurai.
Now this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The samurai,
Uh-huh.
these warriors are almost mythical figures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone knows the samurai, even if they know nothing else about Japan.
Right.
Tell me more about them.
Well, to understand the rise of the samurai,
Okay.
we need to look at the Genpei War.
Okay.
This was a major conflict that ended in 1185.
Okay.